So, who out there is a mom? Raise your hands. Okay, God bless you. Who here has a mom? Raise your hand. Okay, this depends on how like tech savvy your mom is, but like if your mom's like super tech savvy and also stays up late, you go home and you text her and you say thank you. Because I assure you, you were a jerk. And if they're not tech savvy, then tomorrow morning when you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm going to work, call your mom and be like, Mom, thanks. Because like, kids are jerks. Like every time I have a birthday, I call my mom and I'm like, thank you for not like chucking me out a window at some point in time between the ages of like 12 and 30. I'm 30 now. Like between the age of like 12 and 30. Thank you for sticking by me because I was such a jerk. And like kids are jerks for so many reasons. Like we give like hell to our parents and we do really stupid stuff and like we crash cars and like all that kind of stuff. And I was not a jerk for those reasons. Like I was 100%, my boyfriend can tell you, I am such a goody two shoes. Like I'm a cheapskate. Like I don't spend people's money easily. I don't even spend my own money easily. Like I like straight A student, all that kind of stuff. But I was a super, super big jerk about issues. Like as soon as I found out that there were whales to be saved, like I was saving those whales. Like, and as soon as like there was a rainforest in trouble, like I was like, I will go to Peru. Like, and like this is like me at like 11. Like I used to save those remember on like Pepsi or like the aluminum tabs, you had to save those tabs. Like somehow those were worth more than the rest of the can. But like I was a vigilante about this stuff. Like I would like go into trash cans and be like, I cannot believe you threw this out. And like I'm 9, right? And so like my poor mom is like trying to raise 2 kids, right? Trying to get her master's, trying to work a full-time job. And I'm sitting there being like, does that laundry detergent have sulfates? I don't think we should get that one. And my mom's like, oh my God, you don't run this household. Like we have $4. We need to get this laundry detergent. And like that didn't abate. Like I am still a jerk about that kind of stuff. Only I found this really wonderful lens through which to view it, which was college. And so I went to school and I found like all these other people who also wanted to save whales and didn't like sulfates. And I glommed onto them. And then I became like even more insufferable when I came home because I was like, is that turkey free range? Do you even know what happens? Have you seen Food Inc.? It's terrible. Like I was such a jerk. And my family is like this wonderful supportive family. And they just tirelessly dealt with this. And so this all, climaxed, as I'm sure you've assumed and figured out by now with me moving to India to find myself. So I did that when I was 21. And I say this fully knowing that my mom will probably be seeing this, and I love you. But my mom is the kind of person who thinks that roughing it, and she once told me this, that roughing it is any hotel that doesn't have a pool. Like my mom is not going to stay in a motel. My mom is not going to stay in a hostel, right? And like that limits your options when your mom is coming to visit you in India. And so beautiful, wonderful, right? Diane, love her. She decides to come visit me when I'm living in India because I lived there for a full year. And I lived there over the time of Christmas. So she came to visit me the week before Christmas, Christmas Day. She actually flew in on Christmas Eve, which is very sweet. And then we were going to have these 3 weeks. So I'm like looking out on this massive continent of India and being like, where am I going to take my mom? And I want to tell you that I was completely selfless and thought about my mom during this time. But what I will tell you is at the time, Thailand and the associated South Asian continent had been devastated by a tsunami. And I thought that we should really make our tourism dollars matter. So we went to the Andaman Islands, which is an island and a beach. And my mom's a total beach money. Like when my brother and I decided that we were finally cool with being out in the world, she was like, oh, you guys moving back? And we're like, no. And she's like, cool. And sold our family house and moved down to the Jersey Shore. My mom is loves it, SPF 4. And so she comes over and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take us to an island adventure, right? And she's like, ooh, island adventure. But what she doesn't know about the island adventure is that it is in a geopolitical, just a ruined series of islands that have been completely wiped out by the tsunami. And I'm like, oh, but what if we go and spend $400? That'll really help the local economy. Not telling my mom that. So we fly to the Andaman Islands in this shit kicker can of an airplane. And that's the first thing that my mom is like, oh my God, I love you. Thank you so much for being my mom. Because she doesn't mention a peep. And then we get to the island, we get to our hotel. And over, again, there's no roads. It's not their fault. There's no roads. The ocean took the roads. So like we like go over these roads and we end up in this hotel. It's like this beautiful hotel, right? And it's like 12 o'clock at night and she's super hungry. And I go to the front desk and I said, "Hi, I'm sorry, is the restaurant still open?" And they go, "Oh, no, the restaurant is not open." I said, "Oh, great, when is it going to open?" And they said, "In 3.5 weeks." And I was like, "Oh, no." And so like I like quickly book us a new, like we had quickly book us this new, this hotel. And it's on the other side of the island and we stayed there instead. It's gonna go a little over, it's okay. And so we stay there instead. And so the thing about like, you know how people are like, I want an authentic vacation experience. Like, you know, it's like, I want people to forget that I don't speak the language. It's like, you do think you want that, but like when there is no infrastructure for tourism, it is a complicated situation when you try to take your mother snorkeling. And so I like got, like my mom like really wanted to like find Nemo. And I'm like, okay, let's go find Nemo. And so like we go to this snorkeling thing and there's this boat and it's like this big and the guy doesn't, I speak Hindi, but this is like India is a country of 24 languages, so they don't speak Hindi. And so I'm like, and there's this like tiny boat, like and like she gets on it, and I'm like, oh my god, she's amazing. And so we like go to this island, and they just dump us off, and we're supposed to snorkel, but they didn't give us snorkeling gear, and so like we're just like walking around an island looking for sand dollars. I actually have a sand dollar tattoo to match my mom's because we got them because it was such a significant instance for us. And so we like do all this weird stuff, and in all of it, my mom sticks with me. And like doesn't peep and like doesn't complain. And again, this is all because I think that like I have this conception of what our vacation is supposed to be, as opposed to like looking at my mom and being so grateful for the fact that she flew around half a continent, half a world to come hang out with her daughter on Christmas. And this all culminated, we're staying in this new hotel, right? Because the hotel, the restaurant doesn't open for 3 weeks. So we're in this new hotel. And we get there, and there's just ants everywhere because it's the rainy season, and there's just ants crawling up the wall. And my mom is like being a super sport about that. And it's New Year's Eve. And like New Year's Eve, I think is a stupid holiday because it's never as good as you want it to be, and everybody builds it up, and it always stinks. Thank you. New Year sucks on New Year's Eve. And so we're there on New Year's Eve, and my mom is like, "I'm going to bed." And that was like her one concession, was like, "I am not staying up for New Year's Eve." And so she puts on the television, Titanic is playing in Hindi, which is amazing. And I go out into the balcony and I sit down and I kind of put my feet up, and there is no bar, there's no restaurant, there's no nothing. And I remember going downstairs to like the kitchen and asking for a beer. And they just like one of the people who worked there very just nicely gave me a Kingfisher, and he gave me a bottle opener. And I go and I kind of like stick my feet up on the railing and I look down on this like odd hotel conglomerate with all these little twinkly lights. And on New Year's Eve, and I just kind of drain the beer, and I go inside and I look at the little ants, and I look at like Kate and Leo, right? I look at my mom, and she's snuggled up, and I just kind of climbed in bed and snuggled up and was just happy that the new year was there with her.